gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's September the 13th, 2023. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined this morning by our managing editor, Matt, the great one, Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day. Presented today by another great one, GameTime.co, your go-to website for all of your ticketing needs, your last-minute ticketing needs. GameTime.co will always have you covered and make sure you get the best prices for whatever event that you want to go to. We'll talk a little bit more about Game Time a little later in the show. But right now, Matt, I wanted to start out today by talking about Tyler Van Dyke. And, listen, I mean, everyone's fired up about Tyler. You woke up yesterday morning and inspired to proclaim him a Heisman Trophy candidate and wrote this whole story about how he is now a Heisman Trophy candidate. It got some of the members on our message boards all up in arms. No, don't do it, Shodell. Don't do it. You're going to jinx him. Just let him play. But the fact of the matter is that there was at least one sports book that put him on their Heisman odds list, and thus that legitimately makes him a Heisman candidate. So, we wrote about that. That story is on the website. We also spoke to Tyler Van Dyke yesterday, and he had a lot of very interesting things to say after practice, just about Shannon Dawson's aggressiveness, how it's paying off, about his messages that he's sending to the offense. Tyler Van Dyke is trying to be more of a leader this year. So we begin today with a lot of Tyler Van Dyke talk. We've got a lot of Tyler Van Dyke coverage on the website for you guys to sink your teeth into. But the morning would not be complete if we didn't get Matt Shodell's deep thoughts on Tyler Van Dyke.
Is this morning when we're running that? We're running that Tyler Van Dyke inside look at all the great things he does.
Yeah. Yes, we are.
Yeah, great. So let me explain to people the inside workings of how we at CaneSport work. Okay, Gary calls me up and asks me to write a story, and I say no, I'm not going to write it. And then I come up with ideas on my own that are actually really good ideas. And I saw that Tyler Van Dyke. I saw somebody actually posted I think an @ me at Twitter. By the way, I have not posted to my personal Twitter account in my entire life. I am not a big Twitter fan, period. I'm anti-social media instead of social media. And somehow I still have followers, and somebody added me added. I don't even know if that's the word. Whatever. I'm a dinosaur. I don't care. So it popped up on my phone yesterday early in the morning that, Tyler Van Dyke was plus 2,200 in the Heisman race all of a sudden. And I'd been actually writing stories in the offseason about Tyler a year ago, before last season, how he was a top Heisman candidate. And back then, he was plus 2,500. So based on one game now, he had an entire season where he was his first-year starter, where he was the ACC Offensive Rookie of the Year. He got plus 2,500. Now he has one game, and all of a sudden he's plus 2,200. One game, everything's fixed. Everything's amazing. It's really funny to me how things just sort of are in this day and age of everything has to be right now. Like one game changes the perception of everything, right? One win has wiped away last season. One win has made Tyler Van Dyke a Heisman candidate, And I said, look, everybody knew going. Well, I at least said it going to the game. I think other people recognize it too. Texas A&M's secondary is not the secondary of last year that was number one in the nation. They had one player back in that secondary. The linebackers had one player back. Like, it was a very exploitable secondary, which is what Gary and I talked about leading into the game. So yeah, it's great. Tyler Van Dyke was great. The amazing part to me wasn't how good Tyler was against that secondary, which I don't think is very good. The amazing part to me was how good the offensive line was, because Texas A&M has a great defensive front. And I started looking at some more film yesterday, actually. And believe it or not, it was film of Xavier Restrepo. I'm starting to just work on some stuff with him. And I'm watching film of Xavier, okay, and there's a quick hitter that he takes against Texas A&M where one of the Shamars, runs past Francis Marigot, who's in a hurry to get in front of Xavier because he knows it's the quick throw to the right. And so Tyler has to literally sidearm, almost submarine the ball to Xavier, and he throws it perfectly, which is great on Tyler. We'll talk about Tyler again in a minute. But what's amazing to me, as I started watching more film on Xavier, because I wanted to see his effort in blocking, but what showed up wasn't just his effort in blocking, it was the offensive line's effort in blocking. The offensive line on one play where Xavier caught the ball was 20 yards down the field. Four of them in that case, four that I could see on the tape were downfield. On this particular play, the quick hitter to Xavier, all five were basically blocking from at one point or another on a play all the way to the right sideline. That means the left tackle came over, the left guard came over. Matt Lee, is going to be everywhere. I mean, this offensive line is so impressive. And yeah, they didn't grade out well per Pro Football Focus for run blocking, but they were great in pass protection, especially the interior. And their effort level and how quick they are is unbelievable. I mean, I'm telling you guys, like, there'll be some tape will pop up at some point looking at these guys. It's unbelievable the effort they give. We just need more of it. It's hard to see it in games. The game film that we get doesn't always just stay on the offensive line after the play, right? It's going to where the ball goes, unfortunately. It would be nice if we had a film that just watched the offensive line the whole time, because I'm telling you, it would be sick. Like, people would be, I don't know. I can't even say, there's no word to describe it. That's how amazing the word is. But anyway, as for Tyler, yeah, look, I always thought that when Tyler got time, he was an excellent quarterback. I think most quarterbacks, if they can sit in the pocket and the receivers get open, I think they're going to look pretty good, And I'm not trying to downplay Tyler. He had a great game. He played amazingly, and he has an NFL arm, and he has what I think is his best quality, honestly, is the intelligence he brings to the position, because he tends to not make mistakes. When you look on film, he's not missing a lot of open guys. Like, yeah, he's missing some. He's not missing a lot of throws. Pinpoint accuracy, makes good decisions. Like, what else do you want from your quarterback? So, the story we have today shows a lot of that, and it's very easy to see. And as long as he keeps getting time, he's going to be amazing all year. It's when he starts getting, a little bit hurried and pressured, that's when things start to go a little haywire for Tyler. And we saw that last year when the offensive line wasn't great. So as long as the offensive line stays healthy, I think the offense is going to be amazing this year. And like I've always been saying, the defense is going to be the Achilles heel. People want to yell at me, oh, why is Matt so negative? They're always saying Matt's angry, Matt's so negative, Matt's a liar. Yesterday somebody was mad at you. They
All
said,
of the above.
Yesterday somebody said, can Matt reach through the screen and can Matt reach? Sorry?
I'm just counting the angry, negative, a liar, all accurate. There's probably a few other words we could throw in there.
Listen, I'm too old and dumb to care. Somebody asked if I could punch you through the screen, which I would love to do, but I don't think it works that way. Listen.
Somebody on the YouTube comments yesterday wanted us to start wrestling with each other. Something along those lines.
I didn't see that. I mean, if the money's there, I'll do anything. I don't care. I'll wrestle you. I don't care. Professional wrestling or like high school style? The Olympic.
I don't know, man. They were getting a little passionate about things, and they wanted to see some fisticuffs.
I don't know. I don't think I'm a heavyweight just yet, but I'm getting close. Getting close to heavyweight status. I actually used to cover wrestling. I covered high school sports when I was working for the Baltimore Sun papers covering high school, and I covered wrestling. I got to tell you, my two favorite sports to cover were high school wrestling and high school cross country. Cross country was because if you have a child, your child should do cross country. Okay, you're out in the woods, you're communing with nature. As you're running, there's squirrels and chipmunks and birds chirping around. And they tend to be not that other sports aren't the nicest kids in the world, but they tend to have just the nicest, most mellow student athletes in the world, because these aren't people for the most part who are thinking they're world beaters. They're not there. A lot of real major athletes run track, right, to get faster for other sports, right? If you're doing cross country, you're running like up and down hills and stuff. Like, it's just people who they're not good enough necessarily to do other sports, some of them. And this is what they can do. They can run up and down hills and through forests and glens and commune with nature. You can walk. Nobody's going to yell at you if you walk. You know,
There's nobody living in South Florida that's running around hills,
yeah,
monks, and all these other things you're talking about.
My older son ran cross country. He didn't love it. and then I also liked wrestling because I think that's the most pure sport, wrestling. You're not trying to kill somebody, but you're trying to leverage them, and you're in your weight classifications. And these student athletes I talk to, they do crazy stuff to cut weight. I mean, it's just, that's what I really don't like. You shouldn't be going in a sauna or running in sweat clothes for 3 hours right before your weigh-in. Like, that's ridiculous. But the sport itself is fantastic to cover. And there was this, I was covering it way back when they had the first female wrestlers. And the big story back then was how some of these guys refused to wrestle against the females. They would forfeit. I mean, if you can believe that. And those were the days. Those were the days when I was still young and chipper and happy. Now I'm angry and a liar and mad.
Okay, we get it. So anyway, back to Tyler Van Dyke. Caesars Sportsbook has made him plus 2,200. Pretty good odds if you go take them now. For example, they got Oregon quarterback Bo Nix at the same level. Penn State quarterback Drew LR at the same level. And to compare it to the front runners, they got Caleb Williams, for example, at plus 375. They got Quinn Ewers of Texas at plus 850. Sam Hartman of Notre Dame. All of a sudden, he goes to Notre Dame. He's a Heisman candidate. He's plus 900. Shadur Standards, the talk of college football, he's plus 1,000. Travis Hunter's plus 1,500. And there's Tyler Van Dyke at plus 2,200. Okay, great. But other sports books, they're not so bullish yet. They want to see more of Van Dyke. FanDuel, for example, has got him at plus 4,000. BetMGM has him at plus 6,000. But, without question, Tyler Van Dyke right now is completing 73.1% of his passes with 575 yards, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. By any measure, a phenomenal season thus far. So,
phenomenal season. The first game
thus far. I used the words thus far.
But you said season. Do you remember after the first? This is what I'm talking about.
I said a phenomenal season thus far. Okay, and I was going to continue until you interrupted me to talk about your analysis that's on the website this morning.
Well, I was just going to briefly say this is what's ridiculous. After the first game, all the Miami fans were upset about the passing game and Tyler, remember? He's lobbing the ball. They can't throw it down the field. This is what I'm talking about. Week to week, the perception of everything is insane nowadays. Continue.
He also was more hurt week 1 than he was week 2. But, he didn't look too hurt to me this past week. All right. So, once again, we send Matt because, I'm going to be honest with you. You've heard me talking a lot about sending Matt to the lab to watch film the last week or so. And, part of the reason, yes, he's doing a phenomenal job on the work that he's doing in the lab watching film, without question. It's also a way to get rid of him for a while. It's like if he's in there watching film, he's not calling me with all kinds of crazy stuff. He's not calling Azubi. He's not calling Steven. He's leaving all of us alone, and he's just in there working. And when Matt does that, he's pretty dangerous. Okay, he does a pretty darn good job. When he's just sitting around looking to stir stuff up all day long, he drives us bat crap crazy. Okay,
that's your problem.
Yes, I have been saying, Matt, you got to go.
That's a Gary problem. That's not a Matt problem. That's a Gary problem.
You got to go into the lab. You got to watch some film. You got to come up with some great analysis.
Have you heard of Do Not Disturb on your phone? Just use Do Not Disturb or take me off your contact list, whatever. You don't have to answer the phone when I call. And by the way, I don't have a lab. Stop calling it a lab. It's a freaking tiny closet with like a little TV that I can replay the games in. And like the computer footage is so bad because it's not high def. So stop calling it a lab. Call it a closet, okay? I go to the closet.
We send you to the closet to watch film and come up with
how big my lab is.
And come up with good stories and leave us alone. And today, Matt came up with this analysis of Tyler Van Dyke. He began the year as a forgotten man on the national stage. And now, as we said, he's being mentioned as a Heisman candidate, albeit a long shot. But he, without question, is sending a very clear message with his play that Tyler Van Dyke is back being the type of quarterback or better than you saw in 2021. Throw out 2022, that disaster with Josh Gaddis, the injured shoulder, blah, 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 blah. Just forget it even happened at this point. You'll feel a lot better if you're thinking about Tyler Van Dyke, as will the NFL scouts. And obviously, Tyler is playing this season with the intent of getting drafted in April, and he's hoping to get drafted in the first round. And to do that, he is going to have to continue to play at this very high level, because there's a lot of good quarterbacks in college football this year that are going to be in that same draft next year. I'm holding out the slim hope that maybe he'll come back to try to solidify his place in the first round to be a true Heisman candidate next year. But I recognize that the probability of that happening is not real high right now as we sit here today. So anyway, Matt did this analysis and took a look at a bunch of the better plays that Tyler's had this year, talks about his different grades, talks about Shannon Dawson and what he has meant to Tyler Van Dyke. So I'm not going to give away everything in the story, but I encourage you guys to read it. It's a really good analysis of what we have seen from Tyler Van Dyke so far this year. Matt, before I move on, any further and final thoughts on your work on Tyler Van Dyke?
Yeah, so Tyler spoke with the media yesterday, and now we're finally starting to get the national media interested in Miami. Like I cannot remember the last time Bruce Feldman was on any sort of press conference call or Zoom call. There wasn't Zooms really when Bruce was actually active. A lot of you know who Bruce Feldman is, obviously.
Fox National College Football writer.
Yeah, so Bruce was on our Zoom yesterday. I know Bruce, but I hadn't heard his voice on a press conference or a Zoom call or anything probably since that 10-win season. I'm not even kidding.
Wow. Yeah.
So Miami's starting to get some interest from people around the country. But I think this was his question. He said he noticed that Shannon Dawson was saying something that seemed important to Tyler before the final drive for Miami that ended with that long Jacoby George touchdown. And Tyler said he was very happy that they're able to, instead of run the ball on third down and just be safe and try to run some clock or waste a timeout, give them the ball back, that they took the shot. He was very happy about that. He loves that about this offense, that they take these downfield shots whenever, and you can't just sit back and know what's going to happen. So anyway, so he asked Tyler, what did Shannon Dawson say to you? What was his message? It seemed like he was talking for a while. And the gist of it is Tyler said, he told me to score. He told the offense to go score. So there you have it. Shannon Dawson's a genius. A genius. He told the offense to score on that drive, and it happened.
I think the takeaway from that, though, is late in the game with an 8-point lead, Shannon Dawson's not looking to sit on any leads and take a chance.
Yeah, I was having a little fun. Yes, Gary, we know.
Yeah,
I literally said he was being aggressive.
He was being aggressive. He's attacking.
You're like my anger translator.
All right. So you done on Tyler? You said everything you want to say?
I didn't really want to even talk about him today at all. Everybody knows he's playing great. Like, what do I need to say? He's playing great. And everyone's like, oh, if I don't say he's playing great, everyone's like, Matt Shodell's an idiot. Like if I say anything like, well, the offensive line is really why he's playing well, everyone's like, Matt Shodell is such a negative person. Why can't he just say Tyler's amazing? It doesn't matter what the offensive line does. So I lose no matter what. I don't want to talk about Tyler. You come up with these subjects, and I just have to, I'm not going to lie to people. I'm just going to tell you what I believe. Like, this is what I do. I anger people. I annoy people. I remember some guy told me that my voice makes his dog run out of the room when he puts the show on in the morning. And that's my job, apparently. That's what I do. That's what I'm here for. I'm not kidding.
All right. We also had a chance.
I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here any more than these people want to listen to me. I don't even know why these people. Why are thousands of people listening to this show? I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me. I think somebody's just clicking over and over and over again to mess with us.
Well, we also had a chance to talk to some other players yesterday and got some input. And look, it's Bethune-Cookman week. Mario Cristobal is going to do everything he can to keep these guys on edge and not let them relax. But they're probably relaxing a little bit. They just had a hard physical game. They played Bethune-Cookman this week. Starters are hoping to get in and out of the game relatively quickly, let the young guys play. But we spoke to Inez Cooper. We spoke to Jacoby George, and they said all the right things. I mean, you guys can read the story on the website. They want to keep improving. They're happy with everything that's going on with Shannon Dawson on the offensive side of the ball. The hard work all summer is paying off. But that story, I'm not going to go on and on about that story. It's on the website.
I will say, Jaden Davis said some interesting things in there. Were you going to touch on that or not?
You can go ahead.
Yeah. So Jaden, we did like sort of a roundup with the players talking yesterday because honestly, I've never seen, I'm not here to promote CaneSport. I do my own thing, but like I've never seen so much content on this freaking website. And I have to, I'm technically the managing editor, which Gary says that means I have to edit everything that comes in from Steven and Azubi and Gary and myself. And like, I've never seen so much copy come in my life. I don't even understand how people have time to read it. I honestly think we need to write less copy. Like, I'm not even kidding. But with that said, we combined all the players into one story instead of the usual 3 because we had 3 players in the story that we talked to. Just because we have so much other stuff.
And we got to get all these other stories on the site by Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so Jaden Davis was really, to me, really, really a great interview. And, because he wasn't trained to speak at Miami. He was trained to speak at Oklahoma, where apparently they let you just speak your mind over there. And when he came into Miami, they must have forgotten to put him on the list to tell him how to talk to the media because he told some truths. And one of the truths he told was really, really interesting. I asked him, I baited him. No, I asked him. I baited him like Lance Guidry baited the Texas A&M with those 2 third down plays to take the underneath route. I said, obviously, Lance Guidry's using it in a very aggressive way up at the line and helping in run support as well as your coverage responsibilities. I said, how, can you quantify for us how that's different from, I didn't use the word quantify. I'm just trying to make myself sound smarter on the show. But essentially I said, can you quantify how it's different from how you were used at Oklahoma? And let's face it, when he came from Oklahoma, he was not a free agent. And you guys all know I have transfers and I have free agents. He is now a Matt Shodell free agent. He is the first player in the history of the University of Miami, actually in the history of the transfer portal of Miami.
Starter for Oklahoma, man.
To elevate himself, I'm going to explain why in a minute, to elevate himself from transfer to free agent. And the reason being, when he was at Oklahoma, and we talked about this back then, Gary, he gave up 60% completion rates. He gave a ridiculous amount of yards and touchdowns. He was not good in coverage. And you know what? He's still not good in coverage. I'm sorry, everyone can yell at me. He was targeted 5 times this past game. They completed 4 of them for 76 yards. Okay.
In fairness, nobody was playing close enough to the receivers.
And the one that wasn't completed was a near completion. It was underthrown and he got under it and broke it up. Okay, at the goal line. Otherwise, that's a completion on a better throw.
Okay, but in fairness, not too many guys were playing close enough to the receivers. Let's be honest. I mean, especially in the second half.
Yeah, but you look at the other receivers' numbers, and they were fine. Like to Corey,
I know.
They were, okay,
they got out of it okay because of turnovers. They got the turnovers that they needed.
Yeah, and he gave up like 2 for 3 against Miami, Ohio. Look, he's much better as my point's not that he's a terrible cover corner. He's fine. He's not great. He's fine. My point is he's such a better physical presence. And they lined up at, like I said yesterday, they lined up at safety on some reps this past game. And they're probably lining up at safety this weekend too, with Cam not expected to play. But my point is Lance Guidry saw something that nobody else saw with Jaden Davis. And he's turned him into a blitzing physical freak that other teams have to account for, not just in coverage, but for what he's going to do. Because I haven't seen a cornerback tackle and hit like this since Azubi Charles was playing high school football. It's unbelievable what he's doing. And that's why I said they wouldn't have won this game without him. The forced fumble, the 2 third down stops that he did one-on-one, coming up really hard and really fast. And he has great, he uses great technique for tackling, and he's got great eye discipline. I mean, he breaks on that ball as soon as it's thrown. I mean, it's really remarkable when you look at the film on him. So he basically said at Oklahoma, they didn't use me the right way. They said at Oklahoma, they used me in coverage, and now I'm doing so much more. And he says, that's why I came to Miami, because they told me I would be doing all this stuff and that I could showcase all these skills that he knew he had, but that the Oklahoma system would never let him show.
Yep.
And so Lance Guidry, again, I'm not clapping for you, Gary. That's never going to happen. Clapping for Lance Guidry. I mean, I was so concerned about Lance Guidry's defense coming into this year and how these really good offenses were going to pick him apart if he kept doing all the same stuff game after game. He changes stuff up constantly. He's using guys in ways they've never been used before, and they love it and they embrace it. These defensive ends, they love going in coverage. Like, it's their favorite thing in the world. They'd rather do that than get a sack, I think, sometimes, linebackers love to blitz. Safeties love to blitz. Like, these players are excited to do this. In the past, they're told, this is your job. Defensive tackle, just stand your guy up. The linebackers are going to come behind you. Don't make a play. Like, literally, that's what defensive coordinators have told players at Miami in the past. That's not a joke. Lance Guidry is all about make a play. All 11 of you make a play. And you see on film, these guys are flying to the ball and just laying their bodies on the line. And we haven't seen that here. I would say going back to that really, really good, I hate to say Manny Diaz's name, but he had a really good defense, So that, I think it was, what year was it that he had that great defense? 2018 maybe? Where they were in the top 10, top 15. It looks like that.
17,
yeah, it looks like that because it's a little more aggressive and definitely more complex than what Manny ran, because they love to run these 7-man fronts and do a lot of movement before the snap and create all sorts of problems and havoc. And I actually was worried that the Miami players wouldn't really grasp all the nuances of it, but they have, and everything has worked out really, really well so far. The next test will be North Carolina. If North Carolina throws for 300, 400 yards against this defense, then we can say, listen, there is a problem, perhaps with either the personnel or the scheme. We're going to have to look at it a little closer. But for now, I mean, the second half of the A&M game, we did look at some of the issues they had there in the passing, stopping the passing game. There was a little bit of concern there, nothing major. I think it's stuff that can be fixed. It really was just when they went, into the 12 personnel, and then threw out of it with play action like that can be fixed. It's just eye discipline stuff. And, I'm really curious to see what happens. We have to wait another few weeks. But that North Carolina game, I cannot wait. I literally cannot wait, because Lance Guidry now has 3 weeks to basically look at the North Carolina film, because they got 3 pretty easy games, and figure out what he's going to do. And I think that I really am starting to think he's an innovative, different defense coordinator, almost in a Buddy Ryan line, right? Like Buddy Ryan's defense, we were like, what is this? How does he do this and get away with it? And he had great defenses, right? And this is very similar to that, in the sense that it's something most people don't do. It's extremely aggressive and in your face, and it's almost trying to dictate to the offense what they can do, right? Whereas usually the defense is reacting to the offense. He's almost saying to the offense, no, that's not going to work against this defense. You better do something else. So I love it. I really do love it. And I'm happy to say that, because 2 weeks ago, I wasn't sure I would be sitting here saying that.
All right. So you got that story on the website today. We got a ton of recruiting stuff, as we mentioned earlier. Before we get to that, I want to take a moment here, guys, to talk about gametime.co, and make note of that. It's gametime.co, not .com. It's .co, and they also have a phenomenal app. The app is actually probably the best way to use their service, but I'm sure everybody at some point in their life has had a tough ticket buying experience to an event, whether it's a sporting event, a concert, a comedy event, a theater event. You've probably had a tough time getting yourself tickets for one reason or the other. And that just shouldn't happen. You shouldn't have to worry about nonsense when you just want to get yourself a decent ticket to go to a game or go to a show. And that's where gametime.co comes in. And they are the fast and easy way to buy tickets for every type of event near you. They've got killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, where if you find a seat in the same row and section as the seat that you bought at Game Time, and it's less money, Game Time will give you a 110% guarantee. And, ever since I got introduced to Game Time, I've been, checking them out quite a bit. And, I don't know, hopefully you guys can see this a little bit on the screen. This is their app. And, you go in and, you plug in Miami, and, it comes up right away. You got every Dolphin game, every Hurricane game, Marlins games, Inter Miami, FIU football. If anybody wanted to go check out FIU, they're even getting ready for the Panther season. the Live Golf tournament that's coming to town. Miami basketball's already in here. Basically, any event that you could want to go to, you can go on their website and actually knocked it off. You can go on their website and see all the events that are coming, and find the best seats for the best price at every single event. Game Time's the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. See the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. They're all in prices, show you the total up front. You don't have to worry about hidden fees getting thrown in before you check out, and then you got to get your calculator out and figure out what you're really paying. No, you could buy tickets in seconds with just a couple taps. And they are also obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on your tickets. They got deals right up to the start of the event. They have flash deals, sponsored deals on tickets for a game. They have zone deals where you pick a section, they pick the seats for an average of an 18% savings. It's fun, it's quick, it's cheap. GameTime.co takes care of you in every way, shape, or form when you are buying tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and then use the code CANES, CANES, for $20 off your first ticket purchase with Game Time. Terms apply, so make sure you do read the type that is on the screen. But again, just create an account, redeem the code CANES, and they will give you 20% off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Get your last-minute tickets at the lowest price, guaranteed. The Game Time app and GameTime.co on the internet. All right, Matt.
Hold on a sec. Game Time just texted me. They said they want you to memorize that next time instead of reading it. I don't know.
I'm doing pretty well with that. I mean, I'm just referring to some notes, but I mean, I've got it. I mean, it's really not that complicated. I mean, they're fast, they're affordable.
Does it take as long to get the tickets as it takes you to read that?
No, man. It's like they came to us and said, "Hey, we CaneSport. Gary, we'd like to partner with you guys this season. We really think people are going to like our service and our app. Here's some notes. Go tell people about the greatness of Game Time." And so
why do I feel like I'm interviewing a Miami player right now? I feel like I'm getting this canned response. Game Time is the best. Game Time will come through for you on game day. Be sure to get Game Time. Game Time will not fail you.
All right. So let me get back to the point here, which is like Matt said, Steven and Azubi talk about being in the lab. We've locked them in the lab as well, calling recruits, getting updates, writing constant recruiting updates for you guys. And this is probably a good time for me to say, look, if you're not yet a subscriber to our website, we have a team of about 6-7 of us that are working our tails off every single day to give you guys the best fan experience that you could possibly have. And that's by arming you with a ton of information. We're on pace to do 3,000 stories in calendar year 2023. 3,000 stories. Okay.
And I have to prove it. And I have to prove every one of them. I'm so excited.
And Matt has to proofread. Matt proofreads. He proofreads every single one of them.
So happy.
Before I go back into them and fix everything that he missed. But we won't talk about that, Matt. We're not picking on you today. Anyway, come to our website, get yourself a subscription, join the club, join our community, whatever you want to call it. We have some great fans that are on the message boards every day. You will not be sorry if you come and join CaneSport.com. So Steven and Zuby, they've been pounding this recruiting coverage. And like, for example, they talked to 4-star safeties, Aquan Patterson. He was in the recruiting section Saturday, and he was doing some recruiting for Miami. So be sure to check out what he was saying. We talked to a 5-star 2025 cornerback, Naeem Offord from Birmingham, Alabama. He made his way down south for an unofficial visit with the Hurricanes, and he was impressed with everything he saw and tells us all about it. Check that out. There's a really good looking tight end in the 2024 class. His name is Tavion Galloway. He seems to really be feeling the Canes, really feeling Miami. We think there's a really good chance that he comes to the U. he was committed to LSU earlier this summer. He's since decommitted from the Tigers, and Miami is making as big an impression on him as anybody. So we've got that story on the website today for you guys. We've got an analysis of 5 recruits Miami could flip in 2024. You can check that out. The impact of beating Texas A&M on recruiting. 5 commits that have been standing out in their high school games. So a ton of recruiting coverage on the website. Make sure you guys check that out as you go forward today. A program note, if you missed CaneSport Live last night, we've got that archived on the website this morning. Tonight, we will have another episode of the Lamar Thomas Show at 8 o'clock. Make sure you guys get that in the forefront of your mind and join us tonight for the Lamar Thomas Show. That's always a great time and a great show with some of the former players that we have on. And so I highly recommend you guys get into that. And lastly, if you like our shows and you like our channel and you're on YouTube, hit your subscribe button, hit your like button. It helps us with the algorithms at YouTube and growing our audience. And we really appreciate your guys' help in that regard. So that's going to do it for Good Morning CaneSport. Thank you once again for starting out your day with us. For Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. We will see you next time, everybody.